Lati's stomach growled, a sharp reminder of her sacrifice. Since yesterday morning, she hadn't eaten. That was when a generous man had shared packs of jollof rice and fried chicken in their Ibadan neighborhood. Her twins, Taiwo and Ki Hind, had hungrily devoured their shared portion. Lati had given them the rest of hers, even though she had barely eaten half of it. The soft drink that came with the meal became another struggle. Neither child wanted to drink from a cup, they both wanted the bottle. To avoid washing the cup, they argued, forcing Lati to give up her share entirely. Later that night, she boiled the last piece of solid pap left in the house for them. The twins ate it before going to bed, leaving none for their mother. Lati went to sleep on an empty stomach, as she had done countless times before. Life hadn't been kind to Lati. 4 years earlier, her husband, Luckman, had abandoned her at the hospital in Ilorin. After she delivered the twins, Luckman promised to return with money to buy diapers, but he never came back. Stranded and penniless, Lati was discharged only after a charity foundation paid her hospital bills. Determined to find Luckman, she moved to Ibadan, but every lead he had given her about his family's home turned out to be a lie. The landmarks he mentioned didn't exist, and the addresses led to strangers' houses. Ashamed of returning to Ilorin as an abandoned wife, she decided to stay in Ibadan. With a basic sewing machine purchased through her local Isusu contribution, Lati started mending clothes. Business was slow, and money was always tight, but her neighbors were kind. The women in her compound would babysit her twins and occasionally share foodstuffs to help her through tough times. It was their advice that stopped her from selling her sewing machine during her most desperate moments. This morning, however, Lati had a glimmer of hope. She heard on the radio about a charity event being held at a school nearby. They would distribute free food and supplies, but attendees were advised to arrive early. By 4:15 a.m., Lati had woken her twins. Taiwo yawned endlessly as she gave him a bath, while Ki Hind, the early riser, was already alert. They were ready to leave, but the commercial motorcycles, Okadas, weren't operating yet. With no other choice, Lati carried Ki Hind on her back, held Taiwo by the hand. They began the half-kilometer trek. As they approached the venue, streams of people poured onto the street, all heading in the same direction. Men, women, and children surged past her, carrying empty bowls and bags. Lati's confidence began to wane. If so many people were just arriving, how many had already reached the venue? When they turned the final corner, her worst fears were confirmed. The school compound was packed beyond belief. The crowd spilled onto the street, a chaotic mass of people shouting and jostling for position. Lati's heart sank. The crush of bodies grew unbearable as more people joined the throng. Taiwo, who had been peacefully sleeping on her back, woke up screaming, and Ki Hind clung to Lati's neck, crying in fear. Desperate to escape, Lati begged those around her to let her through. Her voice went hoarse as she pleaded for space to move. Finally, she broke free into a quieter side street. She found a security guard sitting on a bench. He offered her sachets of water, which she gratefully shared with the twins. Oluwa will provide, Lati reassured her children, her voice trembling. Let's go home. As the first rays of sunlight touched her face, Lati felt a renewed sense of hope. The God who made this sun will not forget us, she told Taiwo and Ki Hind. To her surprise, both children refused to be carried. With surprising determination, they walked beside her, hand in hand, as they made their way home. The next day, Lati heard the tragic news.